Scott Dixon has looked rapid this month. Absolutely rapid.
As Scott Dixon peels into turn 1 on the warm-up lap, you'll probably notice that orange number 9 looking a little brighter as the cloud cover has peeled back just a little bit. And for the first time today, track temperature crosses into 100-degree territory. So Scott Dixon will have his work cut out for him. As the track heats up, it forces the tires to work that much harder than the cars we've already seen run.
Rosenqvist was the first driver to go out with track temps over 100. So in theory, the hardest conditions, the most difficult conditions that we've had so far, but Dixon's been quick in every type of condition so far. A warm-up lap of 218.5, pretty on par with what we've seen from a lot of the drivers as you ride on board his first flying lap.
He's raced here 22 times in the 5 pole positions you mentioned, Will, and the way you get that is by putting your car right on the razor's edge and using your hands to masterfully balance, walk the tightrope all the way through 4 corners.
You see that shift strategy down to 5th. When you have windy track conditions, it can throw the shifting for a loop. Drivers having to remember when and where to shift. You see that left button using the weight jacker, 232.6. Decent lap, but not the pure pace that we've seen out of Award or Rosenqvist. How consistent can he be?
The 2008 Indianapolis 500 winner, how he would love to get his face back on the Borg-Warner Trophy. If he were to do so this year, it would mark the longest gap that we've ever seen between wins. That record currently held by the great Juan Pablo Montoya. 15 years was the gap for his. And I got to say, guys, Dixon has been, for me, one of the most impressive drivers of the month so far. On it every day. Just looks calm, just looks serene behind the wheel.
Well, it's kind of fingertip driving. It's a very delicate grasp for Scott Dixon on the steering wheel. And if anybody's going to master these conditions and be consistent without lifting, my bet would be on Scott Dixon.
To me, the balance looks like a little bit of understeer, meaning the front tires aren't gripping quite as much as he'd want, putting a little bit more lock into it than is ideal around Indy, especially mid-corner off. Very consistent from lap 1 to 2. That's going to help his cause, but making slight adjustments to how he approaches the corner. Crucially, though, I don't see big adjustments to any of the tools inside the car.
Yeah, he's happy enough, and on this average, it might just tickle him above Robert Schwartzman there.
We talk about consistency. I'm sorry, 232.6, 232.6, 232.58. Scott Dixon is Mr. Consistency. This is a beautiful run from the 6-time champion.
And I believe he made a tiny weight jacker adjustment with his right hand there to help him through the final 2 corners of this run. I think this will be the best read on whether or not the hybrid kind of kicks the lap time up across the line here on lap 4.
Lap 4 over the line for Scott Dixon. An average, it's up to a 232.7 for an average of 232.659. Dixon to 2nd, and that is just masterful.
Seeing the fastest laps come on the 4th lap of a run is so unheard of here at Indy. That hybrid really changing the game here in qualifying for these teams and drivers. And Dixon on the PNC Bank machine for Chip Ganassi Racing doing a phenomenal job on that run.
If you consider the rise in track temperature now at 102 degrees, so far this is the best handling car we've seen, and maybe the best handling driver we've seen for the conditions.
Balance is pretty good. Probably would have needed a little more front, to be honest. Changes quite a bit, man. Moving around a lot with the wind.
There's we see Pato Award now take to the track.
One of the most popular drivers in the NTT INDYCAR Series, Pato Award, the Mexican. He has had a difficult season so far, a bit of a yo-yo. He's had a podium, he's had some difficult races, loves this race. Came so close to winning it last year. He's had 2 P2 finishes in his Indy 500 career. He said the heartbreak, the heartache is what drives him every time he comes back here.
The painful part about those 2 second-place finishes is that they were so close, and Pato Award simply kind of outmaneuvered, outmuscled at the close of those races. You get the feeling that if Pato Award can qualify up front and race up front again this year, that he might try to right the wrongs that he felt in those previous 2 second places.
He has a new helmet this weekend, which has on it an Aztec deity which devoured all before it. If that isn't a sign of intent from Pato O'Ward, I don't know what is. He is an exhilarating racing driver. He comes down the start-finish stretch to take the green flag and begin his qualifying run for McLaren. Pato O'Ward getting things going.
What's interesting about the last 3 years, you mentioned those 2 second-place finishes. Both of them came down to last lap battles that he came on the short end of. That third year in that stretch, he was fighting for the win as well when he had a late crash with about 10 laps to go. So for 3 consecutive years, he's been in the fight for the win at the greatest spectacle in racing. For 3 consecutive years, he has come out without the #1 spot, and that picture on the Borg Warner Trophy.
All 4 corners absolutely pinned, throttle flat to the floor for Pato O'Ward. First lap at 2:32.8.
You heard Will Anderson, his strategist, come on the radio and say, remember your tools, as Pato O'Ward has the slightest of throttle lifts in turn 2. That's a reminder from pit lane to stay ahead of the adjustments available in the cockpit. Don't let one end of the car or the other, the front or rear, get out of balance. Try to stay ahead of it as Pato O'Ward flat through turn 3.
Flat through turn 4 as well, so just that slight lift earlier in that lap as Tony Kanaan, his team boss, looks on. Tony, who has such a rich history here himself as a driver, and that second lap is another 2:32.8, and it's fractionally quicker.
This is a big deal for Arrow McLaren to be ahead of the Andretti team, which has qualified so well here. It's great pace for the McLaren drivers to see this happen right now, encouraging for the 4-car team.
All season, or all week long, I should say, here at the Speedway, it's been kind of hard to gauge what the true pace was of the McLarens. It's not been clear that they've been on the same level as the Penske's, as the Ganassis, as the Andretti's, but right now, Pato O'Ward having a solid run, 2:32.7, almost no drop-off over the first 3 laps.
And now he employs the hybrid on this final turn. It's all about consistency. It's all about pace. We asked the question earlier in the week, were McLaren in trouble, or were they just keeping their cards close to their chest? I think we're about to get the answer. A great run over the 3 laps so far for O'Ward.
It looks awfully good. We saw some tire bleed off with Ericsson's run. The question is, can Pato O'Ward be the first one to go faster yet on lap 4?
So Ericsson's target time, a 2:32.132. Pato O'Ward with the 4th lap over the line. It's a 2:32.7. The consistency has paid out for Pato O'Ward. 2:32.820 goes to the top. Great run. Man, Josef Newgarden, who withdrew himself from the line for a guaranteed run, but now gets to take a run and try to take his place amongst the 33 for the 109th running of the Indy 500.
Get a great shot on board in helmet with the Fox driver's eye. This camera mounted just off of the right eye of Josef Newgarden.
Yeah, thank you.
And it gives us a wonderful view. The most realistic view I've ever seen in racing. This is exactly what it looks like, feels like, sounds like to be Josef Newgarden right now.
And it was a smart move for them to pull him because the track, we've had a little bit of a cloud cover. The track temp has fallen about 5 degrees from where it was when he would have run had he taken his original spot in line. 5 degrees can have a huge impact on these Firestone tires in terms of how much grip they have to start, but most importantly, how well they hang on over the 4 laps.
Heading into turn 1 and 2 here on his warm-up lap, his teammate Scott McLaclin ran a 2:33.013 average to sit second behind Alex Palou. Let's see what Josef Newgarden has up his sleeves. He has been impressively quick with a car that has looked poised and purposeful all the way through this week.
Green flag for Josef Newgarden. And we've talked so much about his chance this year to be the first 3-time winner. But at the same time, if he pulls that off, his team owner, Roger Penske, would become a 20-time winner of the Indy 500.
I believe it's actually 21. I think his second win last year for Newgarden was the 20th.
21, so extending that absurd record over so many decades. 19 pit stop competition wins, I think, is the number, and they've got a chance to go better on that too this year.
That's the most important one, Townsend, surely. Down the start-finish stretch for Josef Newgarden. Let's see what this first lap looks like for him.
You saw a map adjustment for the engine, then you saw his thumb go up to that fast shaker. It's a big lap.
It's big. 2:33.069 for Newgarden.
If he can have that, if he can have that same kind of consistency that we've seen across some of these cars, he's going to be right there with the top, tracking well. Thumb coming off that speed jacker into turn 3. No hesitation on the throttle. Looking very well balanced right now.
Boy, very narrow off the wall. Didn't need to use much of the road as he rounds turn 4.
2 more here, 2 more.
It's so hard to try to stay relaxed in the car. You want to just death grip the steering wheel. And
look at that.
Keeping the pace, guys.
2:33.009. It is consistent, but more important than that, it is rapid for Josef Newgarden.
He is right there with Alex Palou and his teammate Scott McLaclin for that 4-lap average pace as the call comes pretty early. Middle of lap 3 to start deploying the hybrid on a super slow trickle. That's about the slowest programming we've seen all day.
Currently tracking to be second fastest by a hair's width. I mean, he is there or thereabouts with Alex Palou. Let's see what this lap is. It's a 2:32.997. That consistency, absolutely sensational from Josef Newgarden. And again, not a twitch, not a wobble, not a thought. I was going to say a thought of lifting the throttle, but he did. Just a bit.
He's just right there. Wife Ashley looking on. The stress isn't just inside the car, guys. Sometimes the heart rates of the wives and partners in pit lane are higher than the drivers in the car.
Now, Josef Newgarden, of course, has to remind himself, this is not for pole. This isn't even for the Fast 6. It's simply to make the top 12 and advance to a chance to get pole tomorrow.
Pulled his time to give himself a better chance of setting a fast time. That pays off immediately. 2:33.004. It's the third fastest average we've seen so far today.
As on track, our defending pole sitter from 2024, Scott McLaclin, had the fastest 4-lap average for a pole time in the history of the Indy 500, and he comes around in that number 3 yellow submarine for the captain, Roger Penske, to take the green flag.
Pennzoil livery, so famous around this circuit, and McLaclin knows how to pedal this car, knows how to get around here faster than anyone. As James told you, defending pole sitter, pole winner, Scott McLaclin. Had decent pace, good lines.
Had no oval experience prior to coming to race here in America in the IndyCar Series, and he has benefited so much from 2 massive influences in the learning process. Number 1, Rick Mears, who raced the Yellow Submarine to great success, a 4-time winner, and also Simon Pagenaud, who now sits on the timing stand and is coaching McLaclin full-time here at the 500 this month, and it has paid off, and McLachlan's first lap is a good one.
It is a good one, but it is narrowly behind that of Alex Palou, as you see from the top of your screen. Palou just being able to carry a bit more corner speed, but he's catching him back.
Look how even they were on the straightaway. They had 2 different teams, 2 different engine manufacturers, but the speed, the straight line speed, so close between the 2. But through the corners and around the lap, what is that speed on lap 2 for McLaclin?
2:33.1 lap 1, lap 2 at 2:32.494, has him at 2:32.814, just narrowly behind Alex Palou.
I talked to him yesterday during his practice qualifying runs, and he said, man, we're running a little loose, but I like it. He really loves to feel that right rear and get a good sense of where the limit is, and look at how close he is now.
It's nip and tuck between McLaclin and Palou for the top time so far. It's going to take something special.
Heading into turn 4 there, you got a little bit of headwind. That really sharpens up the turn in. You got to be really careful on the wheel as McLaclin takes the white flag.
We're talking about tenths of a mile of an hour as he goes higher and higher still for his fastest lap of the run so far. 233.282. Hybrid being utilized now. Scott McLaclin is coming for the top time of Alex Palou.
That is some big-time driver stuff right there to go faster on lap 3 when you are right at the ragged edge Now he has the benefit of the hybrid deployment as he hangs on for one more corner.
One more turn for Scott McLaclin. Top time so far, 2:33.043. McLaclin takes the checker, crosses the line, and it's a 2:33.013 miles an hour. 300ths of a mile an hour. The difference over 4 laps. That's incredible. What a run.
I mean, you're talking feet, maybe feet over a 10-mile run. 4 laps around this 2.5 mile.
As this guy, Alex Palou, the surgeon, takes to the track.
You call him the surgeon, I call him Mr. Perfect. 4 wins from the first 5 races. From Barcelona, Spain, 3-time champion. He is the driver to beat in 2025.
I mean, if 4 out of the first 5, it technically isn't perfect, but I mean, splitting hairs here, I guess, whatever.
He has looked exceptional.
And he was exceptionally quick this morning. One of the drivers that did decide to make a practice run like his teammate Scott Dixon, almost to the same 1/10 of a mile an hour this morning. Dixon right now P2 on the charts with a 2:32.659 average. What can his teammate Palou do? Minimum speed in turn 2, 233 miles an hour.
So what does it give him right here going into turn 3? 238 for Alex Palou, but incredible minimum speed, and like you said, just like Dixon, a seemingly perfect balance mid-corner.
Absolutely pinned. Look at that. It's on rails around turn 4. Alex Palou, let's see the line and let's see the time. Crosses it, and it is a 2:33.0. Not the fastest we've seen today, but that will do very nicely. Thank you very much.
If he can have the consistency that we saw this morning, that would put him in a good position. Track temp 106 degrees right now, holding pretty steady. So it's a nice comparable run. But again, it's somewhat easier on that first lap when those Firestone tires are fresh. Every lap they're wearing more and more, and you've got to fight that car a little bit more.
You'll see Alex Palou's left hand and right hands and the index finger operate the quick speed jacker. Watch his left index finger right here. He reaches up, clicks it once, that dumps the front of the car and pitches it back down for maximum cornering ability. And when he exits turn 2, the right index finger is going to pull the trigger, and that's going to drop the back of the car down for maximum speed down the straightaway.
Believe it or not, his second lap faster than his first. Alex Palou finding time.
That flashing red light on the dash is a reminder to move the weight jacker back to the left for the ideal corner balance heading into 1 and heading into 3. This pace is impressive, guys. This consistency is unreal. You're hearing the deploy call. That's going to be that slow burn over 2 laps.
Alex Palou was on the pole here back in 2023. He started from the front row twice, but he has never won this great race. In fact, he has never won on an oval. He needs it to complete the career, to make him, to put himself into the pantheon of one of the all-time greats.
And for all the other drivers watching from either gasoline alley and pit lane, they tell their engineers, I just want my car to handle like that.
Dude, it might be enough. He has got a great head of steam coming off of 4.
Award 232.8 is the best we've seen today. Not anymore. 233.0. Palou to the top. The target man has the target on his back once again. Mr. Perfect. P1.